بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Assalamu alaikum. My dear brothers and sisters, Yasir Qadhi. I've not really spent my career of 21 years or 22 now almost of dawah attacking Yasir Qadhi or attacking this one or that one. I usually don't like to mention people, names. If you take all my videos, which probably around right now online are close to 10,000, you will find maybe 15 to 20 maximum videos where it's actually like a direct attack on someone due to the severity of what they've said and due to the fact that I had to assess that this is very important for me to say something, especially if I had some sort of interaction with them at some point in history, some sort of connection, and so on. Might be like, oh, you don't know who they are, who are you to say anything, and so on. So we do know who they are, and also what they say exposes who they are. But today, I'm going to talk about plucking eyebrows for women and why that is important. No, not why it's important to do it, but why women do it and why this fatwa was given by Yasir Qadhi. And also going to talk about his methodology in general of how he's been twisting Islam in America, especially but over the world. He's been influenced people. He's a very smart man, no doubt. I'm going to give him that. He was a very, very strong student of knowledge. Allah has blessed him with, some people have the talent of being smart. They've just been blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they use that talent to destroy. Okay, Yasir Qadhi is one of those. Right? He's just so smart. He can pull things out from here and there. And his main methodology is listing many, many opinions and confusing people. And by listing many opinions, he's doing a psychological manipulation that many people in the West and in the world have fallen prey to. And that is, they've been raised to believe that as long as there's an opinion there and there's a scholar, valid scholar behind it, supposedly, then that is okay. You can do that. That opinion is good. And obviously that is totally, totally incorrect. Why? Well, first and foremost, because scholars should not and do not reinterpret the words of the Prophet ﷺ. They try to basically bring them into light, to spread them, to expand so that people basically get to explain maybe difficult words, but they do not reinterpret and twist and turn. Yasir Qadhi has been doing exactly that. And we're going to see beyond the shadow of a doubt as to what he is saying, he himself. Now, for those who don't know the history of Yasir Qadhi, right, he is the imam pretty much of the liberals, of the seculars, even though he hides under the clothes of, traditional. I'm from Medina, I studied in Medina. Well, there's many people who have been and gone through Medina at the time of the Prophet ﷺ and in our time that really have nothing to do with the Prophet ﷺ. So let us go straight to what he has to say. First and foremost, let's listen to this video, inshallah, that I'm going to share with you. And you're going to be able to be the judge. All right.
Property is not your. I am somebody who says trained people should come together and see, in light of modern situation, what aspects of classical fiqh can be rethought in our times. That's all I'm saying.
Sheikh, why do you keep trying to change the deen?
A'udhu billah, the deen of Allah cannot be changed. It's not my property, it's not your. I am somebody who says trained people should come together and see, in light of modern situation, what aspects of classical fiqh can be rethought in our times. That's all I'm saying.
Sheikh, why do you keep trying?
All right, so someone might be like, dude, like, what are you talking about? Like, he's just talking about classical fiqh. Are you saying that classical fiqh is basically, like, is this what Allah has revealed? No, we know classical fiqh is, again, scholarly discussions, ijtihad, and so on. You might be like, wow, so you'll see there, what are you talking about? Upon further analysis, you're going to understand what we're talking about. I get his point. For example, if you say that, for example, Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah, Ibn Hazm al-Andalusi, rahimahullah, that he has had a certain fatwa, a certain ijtihad on a certain matter. And he is a mujtahid. Now, if we have mujtahideen of today who make ijtihad, they can also look into it, look at, and maybe oppose his view. If it is his view, that's fine. I mean, this is part actually of ijtihad. It's part of what the Sahabas did. It's part of the classical scholars, what they did by generation by generation. And that's where a lot of people get fooled because he's so smart, he'll just reply. That's right. Wow, that's great. Now, however, it goes beyond that. Because I don't think Yasir Qadhi or anyone can say, well, yeah, there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that is explained, and the Prophet himself is given a context. Not just that, it is extremely authentic because it's muttafaqun alayh, it's Bukhari and Muslim. This, by the way, just one example. Now, with the modern times and why these people are doing this is because the awam or the regular people have been pushing and putting pressure on them, following their desires, checking this, doing that, and basically waiting for some scholars, someone to be like, you're right. Don't worry, you're okay, you're safe. And I've seen this very early into my Islam. I started seeing that trend. So Yasir Qadhi does that. Let's just take one example, and that is the example of plucking the eyebrows. Now, why is this such an important thing? Because women use it. They do it so much, and they basically change their shape of their eyes. It becomes more inviting. I'll just show you an example. Now, viewers' discretion is advised, of course. I'm not showing their whole body or their hair, just the eyes. And even if niqab would be worn, usually the eyes are seen. So I hope people don't have too much of a problem because people tend to get very, very defensive and they start picking on you of small mistakes. So let us go and see that really quickly. All right. Here we go. Let's first and foremost look at the eyebrows, okay? Hopefully it's not too many women who are without hijab. But you can see when women change their eyebrows. This is before, this is after, before, after. Okay? Before, after. Now some ulama have basically made one little allowance, and that is what is the eyebrow and what is not. For example, a woman has like bushy all over. It's like extremely, for example, the middle part, right? Actually, I think most of the ulama are agreed upon that. That is just not, it's not even an ijtihad thing. It's an issue that is not anatomically part of the eyebrow. And that they allowed women to do. So we're not even talking about that you just have some, a bush sticking out of your eyes, right? And we'll see his logical explanation. But you can see when a woman changes the shape, it changes the way she looks. It changes her seductiveness. Okay, and women really don't like that. They don't like men to mingle in what they do with their body and their eyebrows. My body, my choice. This is rubbish that's been pushed on by, of course, by seculars, and Muslim sisters have obviously fell right into it. But women don't like it because women have that seductive advantage. And obviously, because most women are inclined to have that seductive advantage because it's a bonus for them. They get a lot of freebies in the world when a woman looks good or she's attractive. And a woman can be like normal, but then she changes the shapes of her eyebrows, she becomes more attractive. Like many other things, a woman can be wearing just a normal abaya, but as long as she puts that little belt on it, right? That's why they've invented these belt abayas to define the shape of a woman. When a woman makes this tabarruj, and tabarruj, the root words or the connected words is, for example, burj, which means a tower in Arabic. Why? Because you can see it from far. That has an advantage that you can notice it from far. Once a man notices the beauty and allure in a woman, I know women can be like, you guys are so low, you guys are so, oh my God, I can't believe you can't control yourself, you should lower you guys. Yeah, men are quite low when it comes to their the power of seduction that women have above them. And that is not something that me or any man, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has clearly told us through that. Okay. زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. The first thing that comes is the hubbu shahawa, of desires of women. So unless you want to argue with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then just leave me alone and focus on what I'm saying here so you don't get detracted. So women don't like it because we take away that advantage. We level the field. When she's covered in hijab and niqab, she is finally given the opportunity that a man would judge her for her friggin' brain, for what's inside this thick skull. Okay, as opposed to how big her breasts are, or her back, or how much surgery she's done, or how her eyes look like they're saying, come here, and all that. And I'm being just straightforward, guys. And guys, I'm sure they understand, they know it. And the honest women, and there's a lot of honest women, alhamdulillah, they also understand what I'm talking about. It's only women who pretend, and women who are woke, and women who are, and I don't need a man. Okay, I deserve everything. If I don't get it, it's man's fault. Those kind of women, okay, those are the type of women who are going to object to this. So they don't like to be controlled because it would mean leveling the field when it comes to the marriage market in the world. What they basically don't get any more advantages when they don't look all that attractive and that desirable. People start seeing them for just human beings, and just their brain and the way they talk, or if they have any intellectual capabilities or any contribution, right? As opposed to just beauty. And that's why, trust me, beauty is a value for a woman. And because it's valuable, it's not just something negative. That's why it's protected. It's like a pearl, right? So rare, it's so beautiful. Women are rare. Why? Not because they're not a lot of them. It's because they are the reproductive bottleneck. They release just one egg a month. Scarcity is value. Women are the ones that keep the generation, the world, basically existing. Okay, it can be just a couple guys left in the world and a bunch of women, the world will still exist. Okay, get a bunch of dudes, and it just becomes it's just nothing. Nothing will happen. All right. I was gonna say something else, but yeah, let's just keep it professional. All right, so that's why. Now let's look at the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, it's narrated in Bukhari and Muslim, said, may Allah curse. This is not about like, okay, don't do this, don't do that, don't cut your hair this way. No. It says, may Allah curse the one who does tattoos and the one who has a tattoo done. Now, you'll see Yasir Qadhi is trying to wiggle out of these things, but context always exposes liars and deceivers and manipulators. Context always exposes liars, deceivers, and manipulators. May Allah curse the one who does tattoos, the one who has a tattoo done, the one who plucks eyebrows, and the one who has her eyebrows plucked. And those who file teeth for the purpose of beautification, change the creation of Allah. Now, filing teeth and spreading teeth and making spaces, if anyone knows, it's a tradition of many, many cultures before. Same thing with tattooing the face. It's a tradition in North Africa. Some of the Tunisians, Algerians, and so on still do it. Some of the Moroccans still do it. And many other countries, by the way, Africans and so on, who tattoo their face. Yasir Qadhi tries to say that this is about prostitutes. Okay, he's totally wrong. Okay, he's lying, most likely, or he's just using, again, one of the opinions that might, because he uses and he cites an opinion. And again, it's like, imagine, like, right, you have an issue, a mas'ala, and then he brings about 30 opinions, and he brings one that fits his thing. Why? Well, because he loves to score followers amongst the women. The women are easy to manipulate, so he can manipulate them easily. He's got a lot of followers. He's really blown up in the last, 10 years, let's say. And definitely most of his followers are women and very, very weak men who love to follow their desire. And he's always going to find a fatwa to justify something in America that women do, especially that women do. Okay, whether it's makeup, perfume, we've seen it, and now obviously plucking eyebrows. But people need to be aware of his methodology. He is an Orientalist, but he's also a deceiver. And he's basically, he's been accused of being an agent, many other things. Yeah, whatever, it's not hard to believe, but he's definitely someone who has corrupted the deen in the America as well as in the world now. Okay, he is very, very knowledgeable in terms of having the information. But remember what Allah says, and it's about, being donkey with books on your back. So change the creation of Allah. Allah doesn't talk about prostitutes, and it's about changing the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not about prostitutes. Because what? What are you saying? Like, are you... Well, prostitutes pluck their eyebrows. Non-prostitutes pluck their eyebrows. Does that make non-prostitutes prostitutes? Or prostitutes non-prostitutes? What does it have to do with prostitutes in the first place? And do you want to look like a prostitute? If prostitutes used to pluck their eyebrows and Allah cursed them, my question, according to Yasir Qadhi's, Yale rationale, where he was taught by Jews and kuffar and atheists, tafsir and hadith and so on, and where he got, doubtful about Islam and his traditional Islamic understanding that he got from Medina University. Does that mean that now, well, these sisters today, righteous sisters supposedly, they're basically imitating prostitutes? Because we know there's also some sort of a limitation and a clear nahi or for not imitating, for example, the kuffar. Now, of course, that has some religious connotations and whatnot. But wait a second. So you're okay with women imitating prostitutes? What's your argument? Let's hear from Yasir Qadhi himself.
Actually allow a woman to pluck her eyebrows to please her husband. This is the fiqh. The sharia wants the husband to restrict his gaze to his wife. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid a woman? She's allowed to dress up, she's allowed to put on perfume, she's allowed to, all of the rest of the hair of her body is not going to be there. Why not this hair as well? So that she's
because Allah said so. And by the way, He used to teach us that. He used to teach us this because Allah said so. There can be many, many, many reasons that we might find out later on. It could be one of the reasons that, again, it makes women, let's say, for example, if she is covering herself. So it allows her to cover her body, right? To remove, the hair of her body. But, no one sees her body except her husband. But the eyes, for those who know, for those who have been to Saudi Arabia, those who have been to the Khalij, they know that even, subhanAllah, when a woman puts niqab on, has those eyes with the shaped eyebrows, just trust the brothers, man. Let's listen to the brothers. Talk to the brothers. Okay, brothers are telling me, bro, in Medina, in Mecca, in the Haram, even if I see, some brothers have had extra fitna. They said because they see the niqabi women, their eyes are just like so captivating with their little lined up eyebrows. And again, here I pause. Women might be like, oh my God, you guys are so weak and so shallow. Well, I don't think you know men very well, sister. I don't think you listen to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and the warnings and so on, of what the Prophet ﷺ told men and how much emphasis have been put on men when it comes to the fitna of women. Again, you can pick a bone with me or you can pick a bone with the Prophet ﷺ. I'm only telling you the facts. Now, a lot of men would lie to you. No, brother, you should lower your gaze. I agree with you. You should. Question is, what else? If it would be only about lowering the gaze for men, then, well, women would not be covered because everyone would just lower their gaze. But no, women are extremely covered in Islam to the point that people consider it oppressive. And in most cases, it's just the eyes that are allowed. But then it wouldn't be the case, right? Because just all men would be lowering their gaze. No, it's not like that. Women are covered and extra covered a lot of times because, well, men are, they are that weak. Now, they're not weak in other departments necessarily, but when it comes to women, I'm telling you, probably a lot of men are going to lie to you. A lot of men are going to come with this virtue signaling, posturing, and all that. No, man, we are supposed, Bismillah Rahman Rahim, this and that. I am Sheikh so-and-so, and this brother, astaghfirullah. They're lying to you. Because if you can actually get access to a man's head, okay, illa ma rahim rabbi, I'm sure. Even Yusuf alayhi salam, in Surah Yusuf, when the women gathered, those beautiful women, trust me, because they're of high class royalty, he said, Ya Rabbi, this sijnu habulay, this jail is more beloved to me from what they call me. And if you don't stop their plan and their thing that they're trying to do to me, I might incline towards them. If Yusuf alayhi salam says, the prophet, bro, where is the lead average Ahmed? Miskeen, and he was trying to do in Umrah, trying to be Mecca or Medina, escaping the fitna of the West, and he goes to and sees these, niqabi women with their eyes just like, tong, and some of them just like, they don't lower their gaze whatsoever. Okay. So, yeah, it's tough, man. So, because Allah says so, and this might be one of the reasons that, because even that can cause a problem. There's definitely a big difference between a woman who has just a normal eyebrow versus that. Come on. Stop pretending. But let's go back to Sheikh Yasir Qadhi of Yale and listen to what he has to say.
Looking beautiful. Why would Allah curse that when a wife does it for her husband? Even the mother.
That's the question. Does she really do it for her husband? Come on, man. This guy, he needs to wake up. He needs to take my, female psychology masterclass and the male psychology masterclass, by the way, okay? Sisters, you need to understand what's in a man's head. Like, these guys are like, look, I'm not, mufti or this and that. Oh, brothers, I am the best. We should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because I am this. And I know I am. I know what people, whatever. I'm not going to say. But at least I'm telling you how it is. Okay? That is the question. That is the thing. Do they do it for their husbands? How do you know? You're talking about intention. Well, that's hard to assess. Because most women, if they would do it just for their husbands, then rationally, according to the Yale rationality, well, then they probably should be wearing like a full burqa. Because why should everyone else see them? It's only for the husband, right? Makes sense? I'm doing it for my husband. I'm looking like a prostitute, according to what you'll see in a second, for my husband. So therefore, if I go outside, I can cover, man. I can put a potato sack on, right? Because that's what some people call it. Astaghfirullah, to make fun of us. Okay. No. That's the thing. They don't do it for the husband. Why? Because again, tabarruj. They get discounts. They get concessions in the world, anywhere they go. Women first. Because they look beautiful. And they're pretty. A man would do anything to impress a woman. Trust me, anything. Even if they're lying to you to their teeth, they will lie through their teeth. They will lie from the back of their throat. They will lie from the back of their head. They will lie from their toes if they can. They will lie to women just for the chance. Just for the chance. Just one chance. Trust me. Let's listen.
Has allowed this. Don't you think it doesn't make sense that Allah's la'na would come over plucking the eyebrow?
It makes perfect sense that the la'nas would come over plucking the eyebrows. Perfect sense. Why? Because that seduction that a woman has just from her eyes, not to mention that they show other stuff as well. Imagine now that this and that and that and that and everything on a woman is pretty much attractive. There's nothing on a woman, okay, unless she's like, looks like a fridge or something. There's nothing. Your average woman, I know women have like this like low self-esteem. Trust me, sister. If you're like the averagest of average of women, in a man's eye, you're like, oh, wuzubillah, astaghfirullah. That's how it is. Women are just beautiful. Allah created them beautiful. They just have to work really hard to look ugly. Okay, they have to look really, really hard. Like women don't even have to go like the gym so many times. I know a lot of them try to go. They just become like men, with muscles. But women just a little bit of careful with the food and just a bit of walking and just taking care of kids, running around the house, doing things outside, this and that. And she looks gorgeous. That's how women are. Allah created them like that. For a man to even come close to that level of good looking, he needs to go at least 5-6 times a week to the gym and this and that and continuous grooming and this and that. It's just the way it is. All right? So that's why, because women have that beauty and that seduction and they can corrupt society because men just lose. Yeah, men are so weak. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to repeat it again. And people are like, talk for yourself, buddy. I'm sure you're going to have a bunch of pundits saying, talk for yourself, buddy. Look, man, you're just a liar. Okay, because any man, or maybe they're gay or something, you know what I mean? Like a lot of guys are just weak and gay these days, and I got plenty of sisters, clients who are coming like, my husband's not even interested in me. He like sleeps with me once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This is 2025, bro. Woke guys, Guys who like, I don't know, they like to, I don't know, do their nails or something these days, right? But a real man, he's gonna, no way, man. No way. But let's listen.
Allah's la'na is like the biggest thing. For the one who worships other than Allah, the la'na comes. Now you come across a hadith that says Allah's la'na is on the woman who turns her eyebrows. Guys, look at the context.
Come across a hadith. It's kind of like you just walk on the street like, oh, there's a hadith there. No, oh, wow, look at that. No, it's muttafaqun alayh. Okay, it's Bukhari and Muslim. Okay, what an insult to the imams, the great imams who have collected and spent their lives, you know, as real men facing dangers. What an insult by a weak man.
Ibn al-Jawzi says this. This is a modernist interpretation.
Okay, Ibn al-Jawzi, look again. Okay, what about Ibn Qayyim? What about Ibn Taymiyyah? What about Imam Nawawi? What about Al-Ghazali? What about all of the other scholars? Why are you picking one? Because it fits narrative. Because again, we've been trained in the West to be like, well, if Ibn Jawzi said it's a good opinion, wow, Ibn Jawzi, you know, Sahibul Madhab and Sahibul, you know, the book, and the deception of Shaitan and this and that. Wow, you know. So wow, of course I can pluck my eyebrows. Woohoo, man! I'm sure that Sephora was lined up the next day when they saw this video. I'm sure that thousands, if not maybe more, women, after they saw this video, and it's still on and probably seen it all the time, 8.9k likes, 870 comments, 1.6k shares, and probably countless views. A lot of them would just be like, tuk, 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 tuk. Okay? And then they go outside, not for their husbands. Just go outside and they're like, okay? No.
Interpretation is that was how prostitutes marked themselves as prostitutes back in the day. They had a particular.
So basically, he's saying, sisters, that you're marking yourself like a prostitute. Okay.
Style that, you know, this is one of those types of ladies. That style that the Prophet is cursing, he's not cursing the eyebrows.
No, he's not cursing the eyebrows. Okay, let's take that. He's cursing the style. That's the style that you sisters are using today. So if he's cursing the style, and the prostitutes have that style, and now you're having that style, well, hello.
He's cursing the institution of prostitution, which is one of the worst institutions that destroys society.
Well, yeah, hello. Now, a lot of sisters might not be prostitutes, may Allah protect, a'udhu billah. But according to Yasir Qadhi's interpretation, not mine, then they're looking like prostitutes. They want to be like prostitutes. Well, some sadly even behave like prostitutes. That's definitely on Instagram and TikTok and whatever other social media, by the way they're doing it. That they might not be actually committing zina necessarily, a'udhu billah, but they are definitely feeding the zina of the eyes. And of course, today it's safe, right? It's transacting through online. So many women are safer now. I'm like, oh, it's not zina. It's not. Well, it is in a sort of way. Not the same zina, but in a sort of way it is. So, but Yasir Qadhi is basically telling you, well, you're kind of like imitating prostitutes and looking like prostitutes and trying to be like prostitutes.
That's what he's cursing. That's Allah's curse, is on that type of person. Now, as for a lady beautifying herself for her husband, how can Allah's la'na come? It's just hair.
He keeps going like, he's using his brain upon that. It's interesting because one of Yasir Qadhi's, for those who know him or know a little bit of it, not one Yasir Qadhi was, I think, if I remember correctly, one of his studies was al-naql wal-aql, or something like that. But basically like text and reason, right? Like which one comes first. But I don't know if what he's done with that, because it seems now it's the aql over the naql, you know, it's his brain. It's not in any aql, it's Yasir Qadhi aql, it's Yale aql, it's Yahudi, you know, whatever kafir aql, yani, that he's putting above the naql, yani. Naql like the text and the evidence and so on. So yeah, let's finish here.
You're plucking it. Why would Allah's la'na come to look a little bit more dignified? It doesn't.
No, how dignified? This guy is funny, man. This guy's, he's smart, but he's not smart. He's smart as in he can memorize and pull things from there, but he cannot connect the dots. Do you not hear yourself what you're saying? Okay, how can you look more dignified? Okay, let me ask you. I'll end with this. Does a prostitute look dignified? And the answer is no. She might look hot, she might look attractive, and guys don't lie, okay? Because that's why guys look. That's why guys watch pornography. That's why guys. You think those women are nuns or something, or good women? Not that you know what I mean. I'm just using a figure of speech. No, bro. So, is it dignified? Because you just said it's prostitutes. Are prostitutes, as Yasir is saying, prostitutes are dignified? And also insulting your sister, saying that you are dignified by looking like a prostitute. But that is the modern paradigm. The woke, modern, Western, secular paradigm is that women, if they look like prostitutes, that's when you're dignified. And if you look like a proper woman, covered and protected, and not messing with this and that. Because, it doesn't stop with the eyebrows. It goes to the cheeks and the lip, fish, and then the this and that. All this gay look, okay? And not to mention other weird, like women just have this mutilated their bodies, from head to toe. Does it make you dignified? And this guy's lying to you. He's twisting because you're not, the brain doesn't connect the dots. Because you've heard, Ibn Jawzi said this. Yasir Qadhi's from Yale. He's a doctor, bro. Who are you? You nothing, bro. Who are you? Right? And then boom. You just, the curse of Allah. Well, are you dignified? It doesn't make sense. That's all he can say. He wasn't always like this. That's what happened, brothers and sisters. When you get corrupted by the educational system, that is an enemy to you, by the way. To destroy, it's the opposite of the Islamic education system. People look down upon the madrasa and Islamic education system, and they glorify and dignify the non-Muslim one. That's what you get in the end. This guy left the traditional Islamic education system, whether it's fiqh and ulama of old and medieval and this and that, it's 10 million times better than this kufr.
Makes sense. This isn't just a modern fangled fatwa. You will find it in classical Islam. Most madhab.
What are you going to find in classical Islam? What are you going to find in classical Islam? What a joke. So, again, this is not only about plucking eyebrows, it's just about how this man carries himself and how much damage he has done for the deen. You guys, you brothers, you sisters, can be the judge. I just leave you with his rationale. Prostitutes used to pluck their eyebrows. The la'na of Allah is on prostitutes and that kind of thing. And just because you're plucking your eyebrows to look better for your husband specifically, and only your husband, it seems, and look more dignified, then the land of Allah does not come upon you. So, which means basically you're dignified to look like a prostitute. You look like a prostitute, therefore you're dignified, therefore the land of Allah does not come upon you, because to Yasir Qadhi doesn't make sense. And then he throws in Ibn Jawzi to just put the little curry on top of the food to make it spicy enough for you to eat. Don't be stupid, guys. Okay? Do not be stupid. The Prophet ﷺ said there'll be a time when people will be reclining on their couches, just, yeah, okay, let's see what's on TV. And then they'll hear a hadith from me. And they'll say, we don't find this amongst the Quran. We don't find this in Islam. We don't. Basically, they're rejecting. This is the time. This is the time. And Yasir Qadhi is the sheikhs of rejection right now. But remember, he was not always like that. And that's why don't ever be stupid enough to think that you are safe in your deen just because you studied some sharia somewhere in a university that was traditional. Out of all of the universities, he studied in Medina. He's done his master's there even. But then all those years were easily wiped out by a few years in Yale. Why? But not just that, also his environment. Speaking about context, his environment. Living in America and all that. And the demand and supply Islam, that's in America. The demand by the regular people who don't want to follow Islam. They just want to have the identity of a Muslim. The whole I'm a Muslim. Because it's cool, right? It's not vanilla. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous. That is the dangerous, guys. So be careful. Okay, do not be fooled. All right, do not, because even if you it's easy to build a big building. Go to Medina, study, get in there, memorize Quran, Hadith, this, that, tradition, ulama, halaqat, this and that. All that, like a big building, beautiful. It can get destroyed by one dynamite at the base. And it takes just a few minutes to basically take down a building when you level it and you detonate that dynamite. That's what happened to Yasir Qadhi. A few years in Yale has banished everything that he's built over and over again by his parents, by his community, those who believed him, those who followed him at the beginning. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Guys, don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. Don't be thinking that, okay, I'm in the deen, I've learned, I have a degree, this and that, and I'm safe. No. Always be afraid for your deen. Barakallahu feekum. Let me know what you think in the comments. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.